Bungie has no idea what they are doing. This is a sentiment that has been shared by the majority of the Destiny community for a while now, and for a mass of different reasons, from weird, seemingly unnecessary updates like the portal, to confusing new narrative directions, and all the way up to the corporate management at Bungie. But in today's video, I want to speak on a different, much bigger issue that not so many people are bringing up. An issue that I believe has led to all of these other problems and is the leading factor to Destiny 2's current state and the lowest player population of all time. Bungie's inability to stick with their decisions. Now, when I say this, what I actually mean is Bungie's constant reversion of more recent updates that has seemingly caused a complete stop in production of new content and major updates, or at least a major slow compared to what we have seen before. What exactly prompted me to look more into this issue was Bungie's recent controversial change of completely removing the power grind during Renegades and keeping the max power at 550 rather than increasing it, the exact opposite of what they have done during the first half of the Year of Prophecy. I also want to note that this is not the first time Bungie has done changes like this, not by a long shot, but there is one key difference: time. Let's look back at the launch of Destiny 2 back in 2017, where two incredibly controversial changes were made to the core game. One, the removal of randomized rolls from all weapons, and two, subclass simplification, or subclass 2.0. These were agreed upon by many to be two of the worst changes of all time in the game's history. But rather than instantly act on impulse and work to remove these as quickly as possible, they waited until the game was in a more stable state and they had finished with making new content to sate the player base. Randomized rolls were brought back a year later in Forsaken, and the idea of Subclass 3.0 was not introduced until much later during Beyond Light. Its official rollout not even happening until Witch Queen. Now let's take a look at Bungie's recent change to power. The power grind was changed not but just over 2 months ago with the release of Edge of Fate, and already they have rushed into making a massive change. And rather than updating the grind to fit with the new system, they've just decided to remove it entirely. What makes this even worse is this issue goes beyond just one update and spans back to before the Edge of Fate, all the way back to Episode Echoes. Let's take a quick look at all of the major updates in the last year that have been rushed and reverted by Bungie. 1. The new episode format introduces a replacement to seasons, now being replaced with 2 expansion-like updates and 2 mid-season updates per year. 2. The new Pathfinder system, added in the final shape, meant to be a replacement to bounties and the like. 3. Reversing power reset, so you would no longer be set back to 200 at the end of the season, on top of removing the power grind like we talked about. 4. The new Play Your Way function of the portal, being reduced back to just individual power deltas by activity level. And 5, the biggest of all in my opinion, going back on their decision to remove power grind. Now, I know this sounds kind of confusing considering we just said they were removing it now, but let me explain. I'm talking about back in final shape and over the last year, where Bungie shared their opinion that they believed player sentiment was that the power grind was a boring and outdated system, and they worked to remove it, leaving almost no power grind for that entire year. And in all honesty, it was pretty good. I wasn't a huge fan of last year and some of the changes that they made, and I was kind of happy to hear that they would be going, but overall it was still decent. Yet, now in the Edge of Fate, we saw the biggest power grind update in the game's history, not only making power grind the front and center function of the game, but also making it take multiple times longer than anything in the game's history. A complete reversal of their decision announced the previous year. Now, look at all these, and compare them to the examples I gave before. Even the fastest reversion, that being randomized rolls, took a whole year to be rolled out, whereas Bungie has fit all of these changes, along with, I'm sure, many more that I'm missing, in just the last few months, most of them only taking a month or two to be changed. Now, let me be clear here. I am not under the sentiment that most of these new systems and updates are any good. I think a lot of them should be changed and or reverted, but these reversions need to come in time so that more new content and more major updates can come out alongside them, not rushed out the door as fast as possible, which ends up leaving the game feeling emptier than ever before because all Bungie has done in the last months is waste time fixing issues they created themselves. Obviously, there are many parts of the game that need time and attention to be fixed, and pulling Destiny out of the dumpster it has fallen in will be a long process, but I 100% believe it is still possible to do if Bungie stops shooting themselves in the foot. This is the place they need to start, focusing on more new content and more new systems rather than a whole reversion of the Portal and other systems. Focus on upgrading the good that you have alongside removing the bad, rather than just removing the bad and leaving the game with nothing for months if not longer on end. But all this is just my opinion on Bungie's current state and the problems they have, so let me know what you guys think about all this and whether or not I'm in the right here, or if I'm just a complete idiot. Thank you all for watching, hope you have a great day, and hope to see you in the next one. Peace.